because we can't predict everything, and because there's always going to be new learnings coming in all the time, having a process for taking those learnings, for taking those questions that you're getting from your team, your users, from your customers, and being able to quickly turn that information into codified knowledge articles that you can easily search and find in something like Guru is what's going to be really key to success here. So let's take a look at some ways to create sort of a refined process for reactive documentation here with a couple different examples. And these are all examples that you would obviously want to document inside of a Guru card of sort of how you all expect people to contribute, or what your plan is for reactive documentation, and train your teams and your users on this sort of process. So example number one is probably the most common sort of process, and I saw lots of people in the chat sort of reflecting this this overall kind of approach to knowledge management, which is that experts are the primary creators. It makes sense, right? They're the ones who know the most about their given area. That's why they're experts. And so your experts are going to maybe do things like schedule weekly reports from our analytics to see searches that are producing results and searches that are producing no results, so that and then they can also review flagged and unflagged, or flagged and unanswered questions in the AI Training Center. So these are two places in sort of Guru. You can go in our analytics and our AI Training Center to see what users are searching for and finding, and searching for and not finding. And you can use those areas to inform your approach to documentation by telling you, well, people are looking for this inside of Guru, but they're not finding it. So I need to add some information about that topic to a Guru card, or create a new card about that information. Or maybe connect a new source that holds the information about the areas that they're asking about, so that they can find that information inside of Guru. They also need to, experts will also, add content to existing cards whenever possible, create new cards as needed to address gaps, and then keeping a log of those activities is something that some of our customers do, which I think is a really valuable exercise to do, so that you can document how much time your experts are spending on knowledge, how many cards they're updating, how many cards that they're creating, and that will show your managers and your leadership that you're creating these resources to close knowledge gaps, that you are performing actions that are saving the rest of the team time, that are enhancing efficiencies in other places, and will also help you if you feel like you're strapped as a sort of content expert, and you're maybe the one and only person on your team that can create knowledge, and you feel like you're dedicating all your time to this. The more you document that sort of log activities, the more you can effectively advocate for additional assistance, or for a different approach to documentation that's maybe more democratized, and opens it up to other people to contribute to the knowledge base as well. Cool. And then we can also see another sort of example that can kind of actually go hand in hand with the sort of example that I just shared. But another way to kind of close knowledge gaps is that team members forward unanswered questions that they maybe asked in Slack, or incorrectly answered questions that were asked in Slack, to a specific Slack channel. And then from that Slack channel, you can do something like a Zapier automation, which is going to maybe automatically create a card draft for specific experts, who are responsible for those types of questions that were asked and unanswered, or answered incorrectly. And maybe it populates a card draft as a task in their project management system, something like Monday or Airtable or Asana or something like that. You can do all that with Zapier, so you can kind of create this sort of nice, easy to use sort of workflow, where somebody asks a question, doesn't get an answer, gets forwarded to a specific channel, and automatically you've got something in your queue as an expert to create documentation to fill that knowledge gap, or to answer that question. And then you probably want to have a standard sort of time period in which you're expected to actually add the answer to that question to an existing card, or create a new card to answer that question. And so, I've seen teams have that be a couple of days, have it be a week or two, whatever's going to make sense for you all, but having a defined period of time, so that your users just know when to expect an answer to that question that they maybe are really hungry for an answer for. So that's another sort of flow and an example you can have to sort of reactively document information and close knowledge gaps. The third one is a sort of KCS program, or as we like to say, KC-ish kind of program, which is definitely more common, where you're taking sort of elements of a KCS program. For those that don't know about KCS, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm going to just talk about the highlights here. Basically, it's a system of documentation, of knowledge management that revolves around your whole team contributing to your knowledge base. And in order to do that effectively, the first thing that they need to do is search early and search often so that they're not creating redundant information. So they're going to search, the actual question that they're getting from a customer or prospect in a ticket. They're going to try different ways of asking the question in different search terms to make sure that there's nothing out there that already exists that can answer their question. And then if they don't find anything, they're maybe going to comment on cards, or they're going to edit existing cards or create cards in the moment of learning. So as they're working that customer ticket, or as they're on a call with a prospect, they're jotting down notes that they're going to incorporate into a card immediately, so that people can go ahead and use that information right away, and so that it's just part of their workflow. It's part of their day-to-day actions of sort of as they go along in their workday, they're creating new cards, they're editing existing cards, and constantly contributing to the knowledge base. And part of that structure is having coaches or managers that are going to look at random samplings of what people are adding to the knowledge base and make sure that they're doing it in a way that they want it to be done. So that are they formatting their card? Are they using the right card templates? Are they formatting the cards and titling the cards appropriately? And once you start to see people kind of get the hang of it, then you can sort of graduate them to kind of authors that can maybe publish cards officially, or they can verify cards, or do extra activities like that. But this is a very complex process to do a full KCS program. Not many teams I work with do a full-blown KCS program, but there are elements of the process that I kind of call out here that are really helpful in terms of thinking about how you can get everybody to contribute to your knowledge base, so that it's not funneled through a couple experts that maybe are bottlenecking the process, and that you're going to get more learnings because you're allowing everybody to sort of contribute to the knowledge base. There's obviously some things that can go wrong with that process. For sure, not going to get into it, all the nuts and bolts of that program today. That could be its own workshop for sure. But I think there's nuggets here to take away, and to consider how you can sort of open up your knowledge base to everybody, and allow everybody to contribute to all the learnings that they're getting sort of every day. All right. So the big question to keep in mind with developing a process for reactive documentation is the big question is, does your team know what to do when they can't find an answer? And so if the answer to that question is I don't know and I'm not sure, then that's a sign that you need to think about what your process for reactive documentation is, and how you're going to close knowledge gaps, and what you're going to do when people can't find the information that they're looking for. Where should they go? Who should they ask? How should they request information? All really good things to consider.